Is Multiversus the platform fighter that will finally kill Smash Brothers? No. Is Multiversus the game we've been waiting for after all of that beta feedback? Nuh-uh. Is Multiversus good? I'll get back to you on that one. Multiversus is a walking paradox of a game. It simultaneously really wants to be a great fighting game with tons of effort and love put into it, with tons of characters who represent their sources so well, and great bouncy animations and fun movesets. Meanwhile, as it tries to walk outside and be a great fighting game, it feels a heavy tugging sensation. As it walks outside, that tugging gets worse and worse until it can barely move. It's obvious to everyone around it what's going on, but it can't quite see it. Around its leg is a massive 2-ton ball and chain. That ball and chain's name is WB, and it's going to kill this game before it even truly gets out the door. Now, if you're enjoying this game, that's awesome. More power to you. I think this game really does have some high points that we'll touch on as we go. But I also can't in any good faith tell people that this game is worth their time, or worth playing at all. Its gameplay is pretty good, but its structure is completely broken, and it's going to hurt the game more than it ever helps. I also don't think blindly swallowing this game's downsides just for the hope that it doesn't fail is helpful in the slightest. Not to say blind hate is okay either, but just because the concept of the game is decent and you want it to grow, doesn't mean you should just take it as good enough, or God forbid, better than nothing. The game needs to be criticized. It needs to have its flaws shown to the world, because if these issues aren't fixed, they could very well rot away the game from the inside out, just like they did in the beta. But before we get into a lot of this, I need to state that I have a bias. And though I prefer to think that it doesn't cloud my overall judgment of the game, it is a bias that is there nonetheless. I hate Warner Brothers. I hate it. I think most people do nowadays too. After cancellation just to save a quick buck, to the overall horrible treatment of the IPs it owns, it is a garbage company. It's up there with Disney, which makes sense because it's one of like 3 main media companies that exist. It's just as bad in the gaming sphere. Though unlike other companies I've trashed on this channel, this one isn't horrid in a unique way. It's just horrid in the normal game industry way. Horrid microtransactions, unfinished messes, a disregard for what it publishes, a misunderstanding of what people actually want, layoffs, it's got it all, baby. This video isn't a massive diss on WB, but know that not only am I biased against them, but it's WB's fault that this game is the way that it is. Speaking of which, let's get into that. Let's go through the reasons that Multiversus is a thoroughly frustrating experience and why I don't think it's going to last very long. So let's start out with what you're greeted with the second you go to download the game. It's free to play. While on paper that sounds great, its business model is going to murder the game faster than I think anyone realizes. Now, I've said that I don't mind microtransactions in free games, as long as it doesn't affect gameplay and the prices aren't insane. I've also said I've spent money in games like TF2, and you should subscribe so I can keep buying hats. But I want you to really think about this. This is a game that does indeed advertise to nostalgic adults. Looney Tunes, Gremlins, for my generation, Adventure Time, and the like. It's appealing, although some of them definitely don't fit with each other. But more than anything, this sort of thing attracts kids. Kids love crossover games, especially ones like Smash Bros. They're chaotic and fun to play as your favorite characters and smash your toys together. However, what if that crossover game that advertised those characters didn't let you play as any of them? Well, you don't need to wonder anymore, because Multiversus is here to shit in our faces. When you first boot up Multiversus, you'll start with one character permanently unlocked, Shaggy. Yeah, you get a few others for short times, which we'll mention later, but the only one that's permanent is Shaggy. How do you get other characters though? I hear you ask, eyes filling with tears as you worry that you can't play as the Iron Giant murdering Batman. Well, it's simple. Grind. Grind. The only way to unlock characters is with one of the 2 in-game currencies. Fighter currency, which is drip-fed, but you know, you can get a lot when you first start, or these purple gems. The premium currency, which is given to you incredibly slowly. You can buy this premium currency with real money, of course. So how much is a character? $10. In a roster this big, and Joker has set the precedent of newer characters costing even more. Now, I did say you could get character currency pretty fast, and yeah, you can. At first, the game basically gives you enough for one character early on. Then that currency slows to a crawl. It takes around 30 hours to get one character for free in multiplayer, and while yes, the single player mode exists, we'll get to that in a bit. And I can tell you right now, either way, it is a massive grind. Now, I've heard people say things like, but didn't you have to play a lot to unlock characters in the old Smash Bros. Games? Kids these days just can't unlock stuff fair and square like I did. But here's the thing. Besides like Melee Mewtwo, you could unlock just about every character by playing the game normally and experiencing the different modes. In Brawl, you had Subspace, for example, and in Smash Ultimate, you unlock a new character every 10 minutes. But here, it's just grinding, hoping that maybe you'll eventually get the character you want. Plus, funny little thing about those games, they didn't have an option to buy them instead. It is a system designed to frustrate you until you buckle and fork over the money to get the character. And look, I know there's probably plenty of people not tempted by the microtransactions. Hell, I'm not tempted by any of these shitty skins. And that's cool, but you're not their target. It targets impatient people who just want to play as their favorite characters, something none of these games previously mentioned ever did. There is an obvious difference between stupid and scummy. I've also heard the argument that it's fine because Shaggy's a high tier, so who cares if that's all you get? That's great. Hey buddy, I know you bought Smash Ultimate for all these cool crossover characters, but you'll need at least 30 hours before you can get a couple that you want to play as. But don't worry, you start off with only Joker, so it's fine. Now, if you haven't noticed, this is the way MOBAs handle characters. They usually start you off with more than this, but even then, you're still going to need to grind or pay up for new characters. Now, the big difference is, this is a fucking crossover fighting game. MOBAs are a completely different ballpark with tons of playstyles and team compositions. This is a game that is advertised with an insanely zany roster. It's why every trailer is based around revealing new characters. The draw is seeing all of these weird series interact, and then stay for the actual gameplay. But you can't enjoy different characters from different series without massive time investment. This is going to make people leave in fucking droves. But Cole, the game is like free. Now first off, this strawman is way more talkative than advertised. Second off, if this is what the game being free looks like, I'd rather just pay a set price up front. The game Smite does this actually. It allows you to play for free, but if you pay around $40, you get every character, past and future, unlocked. The way I see it is you can either play for free or pay the price of a normal game for the content of a normal game. Multiversus used to have something kind of like this in the beta called the Founders Pass. It gave you almost every character, and it worked as a big enough starting boost that you could basically get every new character with some saved up credits, which is probably why the prices are getting hiked. Hell, I did this. As you can see, I have the full roster, and it barely costed me any money besides that Founders Pass. Issue is, the Founders Pass isn't available anymore. It was beta only. So if you want to play as a lot of characters without dumping massive amounts of time into the game, get out your wallet and have fun paying $50 for 5 characters, asshole. The reason this is so frustrating is because these characters are really fun. All of them are filled with references and fantastic character animations. They all play super differently, and a lot of them I really don't think you can find in any other game. I love Gizmo. His moves synergize in really cool ways, allowing for really fun support shenanigans. Tom and Jerry, my mains, are an insane mix of trapping and zoning with the ability to separate like Rosalina and Luma. Jason is slow as shit, but hits really hard, and as a fan of heavyweights, I love him. Seriously, I could recommend this game on its characters alone, even if they weren't crossovers. They're that fun. But at that point, why bother? Most people aren't going to want to grind or pay the insane prices for these characters, and they'll be frustrated by the tiny normal offerings, and then they'll drop the game. This is what I mean when I say it shouldn't be free to play. Its model doesn't work for a fighting game based around characters like this. If the game was $40 up front, with every character available from the start, or even a choice to do that, I don't think people would be this annoyed. I'm not saying something like DLC characters aren't allowed, that's different. But here, every character is basically DLC, and yes, you can grind, but a lot of people want options. Yes, mains are a thing, but if it's not obvious, people like big rosters so they can play as a lot of different characters, especially casually. Speaking of which, I really don't know who this game is supposed to appeal to, because you'd think with the crossover idea, with all of these IPs, it would be a casual focused experience. But no, it's definitely not. Multiversus was made with a massive esports push, along with a focus on competitive play. This game feels very sanitized, very safe in order to appeal to that market. No items, people might turn them on and not take us seriously. Look at these stages, these are all so dull. They're almost all variations of Final Destination or Battlefield, with the most you'll get being a different way the walls work, or maybe a slight hazard. Maybe Mojo Jojo who won't shut shut the fuck up. All of these stages, while pretty, are incredibly samey. It never feels like what stage you're on matters because the game isn't designed as a normal fun party game that can double as a fun fighting game. I play Smash Bros with a lot of friends, and even though yes, we do grudge matches, we choose a variety of stages because it can positively affect the gameplay. But because this game is trying to cater to everyone saying Smash isn't competitive enough, it has to sand down its edges. But again, that doesn't work with what most people are going to see as WB's Smash Brothers. And similar to the free-to-play model, it's going to lose the game players. I do think that the focus on doubles helps, as doubles are naturally very chaotic with a lot more going on. In fact, I think that's where the game truly shines. A lot of stuff that seems overpowered can be a lot tamer when there's more players on screen, and it makes characters like Gizmo more viable because the focus won't always be on him. It adds to problems too though, but we'll get to that later. What doubles really helps with is the game's speed. It's the main joke against the game. It's the main talking point outside of the live service bullshit. Multiversus is slow. This is most noticeable in 1v1, as moves will come out insanely slow with tons of lag. Moves that shouldn't combo from their looks actually do very easily, and disadvantage states can be painfully boring. And for a comp-focused game, this can hurt because it makes the game harder to watch. It's boring to see two models slowly make their way towards each other to lumber around in circles. And yeah, from a casual viewpoint, it makes it easier to do things like combos. However, from that same casual standpoint, these matches are boring. In a recent patch, singles were made 10% faster, but if you ask me, that's still not enough. And I know what you're saying. Cole, you're clearly playing as Jason, the slowest character, in order to make 1v1 look even slower than it actually is. Yeah. In doubles, however, this works for a multitude of reasons. 4 players at a time can be disorienting, but if things move a bit slower, you can much more easily grasp what's going on. It makes it a lot easier to work with your teammate to score kills, and all of that weird speed and comboing ends up working well. I still do think I prefer the beta speed overall, but in doubles, the slowness isn't that bad. It's just singles is kind of a crapshoot. The issue is matchmaking with 4 players can be a struggle, so let's get into that next. So, when matchmaking, you want players of nearly equal skill. Maybe you check how many hours they've been playing, player level, win rates, character level, all of that. Multiversus makes incredible strides in matchmaking by just not doing anything. Look, I know this is unranked, but unranked still needs some kind of skill-based matchmaking. I played against multiple people who I don't think knew how to move at all, who didn't know their characters where mine had multiple levels on them, and who were definitely kids who just wanted to play as the cute reindeer dog, but didn't know this was a video game. I guess I can say I had fun because I kept winning, but I don't think this is how fighting games are supposed to work. But then you throw in matchmaking with 4 people and it gets bad. It'll have 3 tryhards and 1 person who's never played, and whoever's stuck with that guy gets fucked. 3 babies, 1 tryhard, so then the tryhard gets mad and leaves. Newbies leaving because they're sick of losing over and over to unbalanced teams. People party together being paired against match after match where people aren't, so they just stomp. And then there's the actual connection, which works sometimes. Seriously, so many disconnects. So many times where the rollback desyncs so the match ended. So many matches where people just didn't load in, so the match didn't count. There was one time where we got in, to which every time someone died, they just didn't respawn. So this person had to sit for minutes until the match ended through timeout because it literally wouldn't end any other way. It is such a goddamn joke half the time, which is depressing because the multiplayer is supposed to be the main meat of the game, but half the time it doesn't work. This shouldn't even be an issue here. The game was in beta for a year and then offline for another year, and yet the most basic part isn't finished. You do still have the single player, which is it's boring, just fighting CPUs with different missions, although a lot of those missions require you to own certain characters to do them, so that's real nice. It's really nothing special. You get some minigames that are boring as sin, that's pretty much it. You can play with friends, but if you're gonna do that, just play online. 2v2 with a buddy is honestly a way better time than this, but co-op here is just cool. We can be bored together. The main reason to play these is just for the rewards. You can get currency and experience along with points for the battle pass. The battle pass sucks dick, by the way. Not in terms of rewards, a lot of this stuff is actually pretty cool. And despite the fact that I don't think any of this shit is worth what they're charging for it, I do like the customization options in this game. Most of the skins are lame, but stuff like kill animations and little taunt things are really neat. Too bad it's a nightmare to get them through the battle pass. So, funny thing, almost every battle pass is ripped from Fortnite, but the funny thing about Fortnite's is that it's actually fun to go through. Yeah, it can be a grind later on, but levels always tend to come fast. Rewards are given to you at a good pace and you'll always level up within a few matches. Now, I have my issues with Fortnite, but I feel like it does its battle pass right. Now, this game looks at that and says, well, cool, but like, the player might not feel like this is their new job. So they made this shit ridiculous. It is so slow. The main way to level it up is through these missions, some requiring characters you might not have, I may add. These missions give you chunks of experience, but unless you do them all every day, you won't be getting shit. You know what that means. Grinding. This game's only form of content, apparently. Log in every day, get your minuscule points. The weekly ones give more, but they're weekly, so I hope you didn't enjoy that progress very much. Oh, what's that? They've added EXP to battles now? Cool! How many for each match? 10. But that's if you win. If you lose, you get 5. And for a level, you need around 2,000. Thanks, guys. I have actually seen people praising this shit, calling it better than nothing. Yeah, guys, I spent 10 hours in the mines yesterday. And while, yeah, they didn't pay me, I found $1 on the floor. There's barely a difference from when they didn't give us any at all. Why even bother when it is this transparently grindy? If they gave us too many from playing the video game, we might not dedicate ourselves every single day of every single week to getting that character skin. Fuck, man. Even if they did give us more points, I guarantee they'd make level up requirements way more so that we still barely notice. Hey, so 11th Hour Cole here. This video has taken a while to come out, and they actually did address this complaint, giving 50 experience for winning and 25 for losing now. And though I would personally still give more, that's a good start. I'm very happy to see that, and I won't try to spin it into something bad. However, as I'll say later in the video, I'm not really going to be thankful for things like this either. Things being adjusted or added that should have already been like that in the first place shouldn't really be praised when they eventually get added. I think the idea of them screwing this game over constantly and then us having to feel thankful when they fix issues sometimes is kinda dumb as customers. But overall, good stuff. Hope these fixes keep coming, even if they shouldn't have needed to be fixes anyways. I honestly do hope this video ages like milk rather than wine. Back to the video. But again, this thoughtless obsession with getting as many people as possible is going to lose them players. People are already getting tired of how long it takes to level up, and it's been a problem since the beta. Funny thing that is, huh? That's not the first time I've mentioned that, so let's go back to the dead horse, because I'm not done beating it yet. This game had a beta for about half a year, and I played it, and I liked it. I thought it was a good showing from an unfinished game, and while it had a lot of issues, maybe they'd take our feedback and fix it. Again, I bought the Founders Pack because I wanted it to be better. Now we're here. The problems are still here. Some are even worse. Content from the beta was missing. Some still is. The only content that wasn't in the beta was Rifts, the single player mode. And it has a new, slower engine. The bugs are here. The game is still insanely grindy and greedy. It's still the same. And I'm just supposed to be like, well guys, of course, it's a work in progress. I thought the beta was supposed to be that. Why do I still have to treat it like this isn't what they claimed was the full product? Why are we expected to be this forgiving when it's such an empty experience still? Why am I supposed to be thankful that I can play as characters I don't own in the training mode now when it was something the beta already had, the full game took away, and then when we whined enough, they gave it back? I'm not going to be thankful for them doing things that should have been done months ago. The game was clearly rushed out because it's seriously not in a state where it should be available and asking for money. At least not until it's more than just the beta with some more characters. But why? Why all of this? Why did the game end up like this? I mean, if it's not obvious, it's that thing, that ugly, bulbous thing in the middle of the logo, WB. It's a massive company seeing a bunch of different games making money and wanting a slice of that pie, despite not understanding why those games worked in the first place, and some talented developers getting caught in the crossfire. Fortnite makes tons of money off skins and battle pass. Ooh, we need to do that too. Oh, a lot of games are free but full of microtransactions. We do that too. Smash Bros is popular, and we're sitting on a ton of IPs that we hate and we do nothing with. Make that. But other games have recurring players because of grinding for things, so we'll make them grind even more. It's a fighting game, so it also needs to be an esport. Do all of that and bring me all the money when it's done. But there's no consideration for how that's supposed to work, and it doesn't work. Mobile mechanics don't work with a fighting game. The constant grind is made so much worse by the lack of reward. The game feels so sanitized and disrespectful to its players, and I know Player First Games just wanted to make a fun fighting game, but WB really doesn't give a shit about making a decent game. It sees money, it sees a bubble ready to pop, and decides it'd be a great idea to inflate it further and fuck the passionate developers over if need be. You can see the passion and effort through the actual game and its mechanics. Building perks is fun and easy and effortless. I love the way that it lets you personalize what moves you want to focus on. The characters mostly look great. The cartoon characters look incredible. And while I think Arya and Jason and a few others look a little weird and probably shouldn't be here, they've got cool stuff in their kits. There's so much squash and stretch, so much passion and love into how everyone plays, so many playstyles, and playing twos with friends is a great time. Me and my buddy Hector played together, and despite me not liking the game and him really liking it, we both ended up in this really great middle ground and had a good time. No. No.
Armor.
No.
Get his ass. Get his ass.
No.
Get
No.
out of here. Get out of here.
These characters' movesets have so much life and represent the characters so well, and you can tell that deep down Player First really wanted to make a good and unique platform fighter with these characters. But no matter what they do, they can't escape that ball and chain. The reason this game is so frustrating is because it's a good game deep down. Hell, it could have been a great game, but it's got so many catches, so many snags, that it just ends up as another live service. Another game trying to make people play it like a job, made by another company trying to suck them dry for all they're worth. Another publisher taking any good faith its fans have and flushing it down the drain. I want this game to be good. I want it to be a big thing that everyone wants to play, but I think it'll be dead in the water before it even gets a chance. Why do I think this? It already happened. The beta was constantly bleeding players no matter what it did, because its structure was just annoying. It's not fun to do anything but grind in these games, and people will lose interest fast. It doesn't work. And it already looks like it's happening again. The game hasn't come close to when it peaked on its first day, and I doubt it ever will again at this rate. When everything has a catch, when everything is frustrating or nagging at you to pay, you won't want to keep playing. I haven't met a single person who's tried that challenge to get Matrix, the famous villain from the movie Matrix, because it asks that you beat each rift like 30 times. That's not fun, that's work, and that's not what games are for. I don't want this game to die, I want it to be better, but unfortunately I don't see it happening. And when it comes to this game, at this point, all there is to say is, I'm never coming back.